Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Hotel Inhumans, Season 1, Episode 4. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So in this episode, we get introduced to a contract killer, hitman, Nina. Ever since she was she's just number 27, and they gave her the designation of Nina, and from a very young age she's been trained to kill because all she is a tool. It's like bury your emotions and kill. That's all she really has ever known, and it's all she is, because it's like you don't need emotions as a tool. But this latest job is what changed things, because for the first time all the emotions she felt finally broke free. I think like the dam that was she used to kind of block that wall of emotions finally cracked, because the group she's listening to, brainstorming, specifically one of its members, Rue, like really resonated with her. And I think especially because we listened to the song later on, I think they think they did a great job of, like, throughout the entire episode you don't hear the actual song in the lyrics until the very end, until like the job is underway, and you hear like the last line, and it's like, we are not tools, and that resonated so hard with Rue. And so you can tell she's conflicted. She's got 10 days to do the job, and so she's at a bar and I think specifically at the hotel, where she ends up meeting Sarah. This is where Sarah goes every Friday. She will come here, have a non-alcoholic drink, and she says it later on to Ikuro, where it's like, this place is somewhere that, as a concierge, like, she almost even though it's like her time off, it's not really, because she's like, sometimes here at the bar is where people will be a lot more comfortable saying stuff that maybe they won't say otherwise. That she's so like, yes, I got to do this job. I'm a tool. I'm meant for this. And I think Sarah resonates with her, because they have that same coldness, I guess, but there's something about each other where, like, I think just like Ikuro takes something from the previous episode. I think each of these things has an effect on both Ikuro and Sarah in their own way. Like, they take something away from it. This experience was a growing thing. It's something that's going to last and stay with them, because I think Sarah resonates with Nina. And once again, we don't know enough about either Ikuro or Sarah, but Sarah's skill set kind of showcases like she might have been born in a similar life and maybe found a way out, or maybe found a different application for said situation. But either way, when it's all said and done, like I said, Nina's drinking this very specific drink called the Corpse Reviver, which is the title of the episode. And I thought it was poetic, where it's like she's listening to the song. She's like, oh, you should listen to Brainstorming. They're really good. It's this song. They've got this new song. What was it, The Mask Answer? It's like, yeah, they put out a music video right before they kind of perform it, and she's watching it. And I think it's so poetic that the last shot, obviously it's the moment the music video ends, obviously it's the button that says the rewatch button, and obviously it's almost covering Ruth's face like a target, because we saw her early on. I didn't fully because she uses a one-shot thing, and I was like, oh, what's that? And then we later on find out it's one of the glow sticks during the performance. It's meant to be a gun hidden in that, and I was like, oh, okay, so that's what the whole thing is. But you could tell, Sarah could tell something's Nina's not fully as dedicated to this, that it's you're not having any hesitations, are you? And she's like, no, I'm not. But it's Sarah can see through that, and that's the whole point. And ultimately it's hey, can you help me with this? And so the performance is moved to the hotel, and it's it's going through it, the concert's going, and it seems like Nina's getting ready to take her shot, and she does. And I love that it cuts to the interstitial and then cuts back, because you're like, oh, did sadly Nina have to go through with it? Because immediately my mind, when before the hit went down, I thought, is it a member of the group? Because there's one particular member of the group that they said was sick. So I was like, oh, I'm wondering, it's gotta be one of the members of the group. I was like, not unless Rue is trying to commit, it's effed up to say, but kill herself in a spectacular way or something, to kind of in some artistry way, or there's some artistic liberties with it or something. That's what I was kind of almost wondering if that was going to be the case. But it turns out it's actually the CEO of her agency. Basically, some money deals went wrong because he made mistakes, and to basically compensate for that, he ended up setting this whole thing up because it's like, cool, if I can kill Rue at this height of their career, especially at her last song just being put out, they'll be raking in the money, which is very effed up. But just when the bullet's about to hit Rue, it's actually Sarah who shows up, and she like blocks the bullet with her knife. She was on stage the entire time. She replaced the member that was, they probably either she really was sick and just, I was like, there's too much chance there. So it's like they probably had to have something to do with why she either came up with the excuse she was sick and kind of removed her from the equation. Not killed her, but just kind of removed her temporarily, or they kind of made her sick so that she couldn't be there. Whatever the case may be, Sarah's on stage. And I love when it gets to the end of performance and they take their mask off. Sarah does too, but she puts her hand over her face to kind of hide her face from any recordings and stuff like that. But yeah, it turns out it wasn't Nina that took the shot. It was another number. It's 39, Miku. She was sent as a replacement because they could tell that Nina was acting weird about this job, so there was contingencies in place. But Nina set this whole thing up because she's like, did you not think it was weird that the venue was changed at the very last minute? And this whole thing was orchestrated because, the one behind this, once again, was the CEO, and he's no longer an issue. So technically the job is kind of invalidated now because the CEO is dead. The client who asked for the job is dead. So it's kind of don't try to come after. You have zero reason to go after Rue, because this is not only protecting her now, but from the future, because with him dead, there's no one else that wants her dead, or is at least motivated to have her dead. So, but because Miku says, I've known about you, Nina. I looked up to you, actually admired you. As we are tools. We don't really what good is this if we have tools? But then the last line in the song, the last line is said of we are not tools, and it kind of resonates with Miku. And the moment she turns, Nina's gone. Because it's once again, it doesn't change anything, who they are and what they've done, but it kind of does change who they are. And I'm wondering, did this have any influence on Miku at all, like it did Nina? And so she disappears, and then we hard cut the ending with Ikuru and Sarah at the bar, and I was just like, oh, it's going to play out the way it is, isn't it? And she's there in the alleyway with a cat, and she's like, oh, you don't have a home either, and she gets sniped. And you're just like, oh. And then obviously the last thing she's listening to is the song that meant everything from her, the thing that kind of set her free. And it's really heartbreaking. It's sad that things ended this way, but it's she was always going to, her life was always going to be this. And even Ikuru was saying, it's really, really sad knowing that basically she did this knowing exactly what it meant. But for her, it meant so much to her to keep Rue alive, because Rue meant so much to her. It's you kind of made me human again. And I think that is the nature of this series. Those who have become inhuman, who are forged to be inhuman, finding their humanity again, at the in the end of all of it. And I think, like I said, how that resonates with both Ikuru's character and Sarah's. But that's just really sad. I mean, there's stories like that. Fictitious stories where I've watched where it's that hitman who knows too much and ends up getting got. It's just when you're trying to get out, sometimes you have the success stories of, they got out and everything is okay. But then there's other times where it's no, you didn't get out, and, you end up meeting your end. And that's the real tragic story of it all. It's just damn, it's such a shame. But she was a loose end, and she knows, she probably doesn't know a lot, but it's still you failed us, so we have to kill you to cover our tracks. And I'm curious who the person was that put her down. And I think the fact that they didn't show you, I think it's meant to be, it doesn't matter. That is just another number. I doubt it was Miku 39. I doubt it was her. It was probably someone else. But the thing is, maybe this job had an influence on Miku, and maybe she'll influence someone else, and someone else, that it'll have a trickle down effect, and it might change things in the long run. Maybe even though it might seem like it won't matter, it does matter, because Rue is still alive to inspire and influence so many other people, and maybe in doing what she did, Nina did the same. And like I said, I think especially with Sarah, because Sarah at the end is drinking the corpse reviver. A corpse is dead, and the reviver is the person that brings him back. And so that could be seen as a total. There's layers to that, because Rue was kind of the corpse reviver in this situation because she brought Nina back to life. You could make the argument that Nina kind of did the same thing to Sarah, and the fact is, Ikuro seeing her drink, he's like, "Whoa, that's alcoholic," and he's like, "Oh, that's a really good song," and she's like, "Yeah, I already know because she had you do say some stupid things sometimes. I already know because she had listened to the song all the way through with Nina, and they bonded and they connected over it." So it is just this. And I guess you can, like I said, it just. It's tragic, but there is, just like all these stories, despite the tragedies, there are some level of silver linings in the grand scheme of things. So, and you have that, like, as it plays out during the outro, you see that, she doesn't really normally drink alcoholic drinks, so it hits her pretty hard. So you do see Sarah's drunk, and Ikaru's kind of got to contend with that. But then we see her walking, and she ends up bumping into, I think, the same cat that Nina had just run into, and a cat that doesn't have a home, and especially her picking up the cat, looking at the cat, and they're both blinking at the same time. It's like, yeah, there's, Sarah's kind of got those cat-like qualities to her, so it feels. I wonder, did she take the cat home back to her, the hotel with her? So it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's almost like a physical embodiment of. I don't know. There's ways to look at it, because after Nina got killed, the cat walked out of the dark alleyway after kind of getting scared away by the situation. But then it almost feels like you can make some argument. Once again, getting too in my own head about it, but it's you can almost be it's almost like the soul of Nina found some peace and freedom. That's something she gained from it. But you can almost be it's inside the cat, and it carries on, and it just feels perfect that Sarah would find that cat, and they kind of resonate. So we'll see, but I'm curious, will we see the cat from time to time at the hotel going forward or something? So yeah, like I said last episode, I'm definitely going to need to make sure I always have a palate cleanser after I watch these episodes, because they are going to be depressing. So far, episode 1 seems to be the only one that, once again, they have their own silver linings. It's not always going to be the happier silver linings that you kind of want them to be, but they still are there, and they still exist. So, but yeah, I'm very interested to see where the next episode takes us going forward with all of this. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.